Hello, friends. Hope you're doing well. These are my Trickers Burford Country Boots in Olivia Antique Acorn calf leather. Um, these are my only boots by Trickers. I really like Trickers. They're kind of like it's hard to make an equivalent, but you could say they're the Red Wing of England. I don't know if that's fair. But yeah, they've been around forever. They literally, they boot and shoe the kings and queens, and they make a great boot. There's almost like a there, there's something really fun now about having a lot of the American boot and British boot world kind of like come together and compare and contrast, and you go, oh, there was like 100 years almost of, well, more, but like 100 years of manufacturing kind of happening at the same time and without really a lot of communication, and you guys went in like super different directions. You think of like an American boot, even a Red Wing, but like for sure a Pacific Northwest boot, like just they are so robust. And then you put these up against them and you're like, oh, that's adorable. These are cute, you know? But that's not to say these aren't great boots. They are beautifully made. They are great boots. And Trickers, they're quite expensive. I got these from the Trickers factory shop. They were running a sale. I got them for quite a steal, like maybe $250, maybe less. But yeah, they retail for around $700. There's something I love about this boot. Now they're classic. I forget the model, but just their classic boot with all the holes, the wingtips, so to speak. Those are those are so cool. That's not their Stow boot, is it? It's their Stow boot. There's something so cool that those were made for being in the outdoors and for shepherds and whatnot. When you look at it and it looks like the dressiest boot of all time, you're like, you should wear that boot with a suit. But I do love how in Britain they used to, like, farmers and handyman, and they used to dress so proper. When I was a kid, I was into these books by James Herriot, all about being a vet out in the British countryside. And they've recently adapted it into a PBS TV show called All Creatures Great and Small. And these dudes are just out hanging with cattle, working with horses and stuff in like tweed suits and nice boots. So this is the kind of boot, that they would have worn. This is like a vet would wear this. This is like a farm boot, you know. But it's kind of one of the more dressy boots I own. But it's got this really nice Vibram Vilite sole, V-Lite. These soles they're super soft, but they wear out very quickly, and that's just part of the deal. But yeah, it looks like this one it feels like a rubber midsole, but I can't quite tell if that's leather. But it's got a really really nice 360 leather stormwell, and this acorn leather is very cool. It's lined because it's calf leather. I love the handwriting on there. Just reminds you that people made these boots, and I like the all eyelets. I like the brown eyelets. This is a very different boot for me. They look like nothing else I own. These are the laces that came with them. Might be fun to change these to black to kind of help pull that side of the boot together. I'm not sure, but yeah, these are I think these will look better as I wear them in. There's something about this acorn leather that no matter what you do, they kind of just keep looking. You could argue they keep looking great, but they don't patina very well. So for how they developed this leather, they developed it for these dressier boots and dress shoes and this very British attitude of like, let's keep it looking spin and span forever. And then we come along in our weird 21st century niche, like boot nerd thing of like, let's see how cool it could patina. And it's like, well, this leather doesn't patina very well. It's like, yeah, that's the point. It was like a really smart, I believe it's combination tan leather to like, it's a really smart leather. It was very much like, let's see how we can avoid, that's why that's why they had that's where denim comes from. It's a lot of like blue, navy workwear comes from because it hid stains very well. It was like, yeah, we all work in the trades, but we want to look spick and span. We want to look clean. So that's what this boot is. It's just like, I'm going to try to look as nice as possible. That being said, it already has like kind of aged pretty nicely. I've worn them just a bit. But it's got some fun creases over there, some really pretty shading in the leather. And I can't really describe the feel. It's a very, very dry feel. There's zero pull up. It's very pigment heavy. But it doesn't feel like a cheap leather either. It still feels very luxurious. Yeah, it doesn't feel like those kind of crappy, whatever middle of the road brown leathers that are just like covered in plastic. This feels like a very natural pigment. It feels like, it's more like, I don't know, just like a drier wax or something. Yeah, it doesn't feel cheap. Yeah, structured toe and just a really smart looking boot, as the British would say. And this is the Burford boot, which is I don't think it's their most popular boot, but they're also pretty common and just really interesting cutting over there. Like look at that. Look at these shapes. Excuse me. Yeah, look at that. So fun. Really interesting stitching. And then you got that. So yeah, they kind of, I don't know. Whenever I wear these with like corduroys and a sweater. I try to kind of lean into that, which maybe you could argue is a little too much on the nose, but yeah, I like kind of leaning into what these boots are. I like leaning into their heritage and just going like, all right, what's my most British shepherd outfit? Because they're so freaking cool. I mean, even like the photos of like all the old, the royal family going hunting and they're like, I want to say they're like Lachamu boots or something. Those like tall rubber boots and although I doubt they are, and their Barber wax jackets. Even like think of our wax jackets. Our signature wax jacket would be the Filson Tin Cruiser, and theirs is the Barber, and the Barber's way thinner, but still very cool. So this is what I would say like what this is to Red Wing. Barber is to Filson. And by the way, pretty similar. Both companies have gotten very, very large. Still make some of their stuff in the USA, but import most of their stuff. They have cheaper line, they have higher end line. A lot of commonalities there. Very fun. But yeah, this boot is just fun. Again, I don't own any other boots like this. I have gotten a few pair of Trickers from Mr. Porter, but the sizing just never really felt right. I guess I'm a half size. You try to go down to full size with UK, but and I hope it's okay. I mean, well, it's got to be okay. But I rarely talk about sizing because it's just so specific to the person and how they like things to feel. I like a tighter feel. I don't want my toes scrunched, so I kind of want a lower volume boot, but that's like kind of longer. People feel all different kinds of ways about sizing, but these are actually probably like a tad too small for me. You know, just the way, just how low this is, I guess. Just my feet come just a little too close, but I'll still wear them. The more I break them in, I feel like they'll feel good. That being said, because of this calf leather, like I don't know how much these will stretch really. They're not going to stretch like a Chrome XL boot. There's something so fun about Division Road making their version of Trickers. Like, oh, those things are so nice. They're so expensive, but they're very, very cool. Trickers has had a really amazing resurgence in the American market, and they're kind of using more American leathers now. And so you could get a pair of Trickers with like a Vibram lug sole. Not like these, even like the Montagna sole or the Vibram 100. And in like a Chrome XL or probably a Seidel rough out or something, which is so weird. It'd almost be like Red Wing or Nix making like boots out of like British kip leather, calf leather. Yeah, I mean imagine a pair of Nix in this acorn calf leather. Like that would be crazy. Calfskin. But yeah, these are so fun. You got now the fabric pull tabs. Like I usually don't like them on the boot. They usually kind of make boots feel cheaper. They remind me of like a Red Wing, but for some reason this works. I just like it. These boots still feel luxurious to me. And just such an interesting vamp. And then look at that. Look at that shape. So fun. Really nice, like I almost said dainty stitching. It's dainty, just dainty double stitching, but really nice as well. These boots are not the most robust when you compare them to American-made boots, but they are very, very cool. Anyway, thanks for watching.